Peter. Hi, everybody. Welcome to your Wednesday market call. My name's Lee Honish. I am the chief economist for Home Advocates. I am in the studio today, and I am joined on the line by Fred Solomon. How are you, Fred?
Good morning, Lee. Doing good?
Great. Fantastic. As always, all you got to do is Google Home Advocates. Just type in 2 words, Home and Advocates. We are on the front page of every search bar. We are literally in every browser automatically to the front page. You can scroll down and take a look at the list of agents we have that are advocates. They are all listed there on the front page, and they're all amazing, basically. Today is our market call where we talk about market trends. And then when we have time at the end of it, we talk about using those market trends for marketing. And I'm certainly going to do that as easily as I can. So I'm going to jump right into the news and go through these with Fred and discuss them with people here on the Coaching Room Live as well. Is my screen up, Fred?
Yeah, it is.
All right, cool. Let's dive right in, shall we? I'm going to go with video out of the gate today. I felt like I like this. This came out today.
Breaking news on the mortgage markets this morning. Diana Olick joins us with the details. Hey, Diana.
Hey, Joe. Not quite Halloween yet, but the numbers are getting even more scary. How about demand from home buyers dropping to nearly half of what it was a year ago, and total demand at the lowest level in a quarter century? Now, first, take a look at the mortgage rate. The average on the 30-year fixed rose for the 10th straight week, crossing 7% on the Mortgage Bankers Association's index. We saw it on the other daily reads last week, but it hit 7.16% for the weekly average, up from 6.94%. Refinance demand, which is most rate sensitive, basically flat for the week, but only because it was down 86% from a year ago. Right now, there are less than 150,000 qualified borrowers who could actually benefit from a refi, and that's according to Black Knight. Mortgage apps to buy a home dropped another 2% for the week and were 42% lower than the same week a year ago. That annual comparison just continues to grow. The only increase in application demand was in FHA loans, which are used by lower income borrowers generally. They offer slightly lower rates, but you do have to pay mortgage insurance. And the ARM share of applications, which also offer that lower rate, remained high as well. Andrew?
Meet Ninja Speed.
There you go. That's a nice way to start it all off, Fred. So let's start right there. A lot to unpack. What is the interest rate for no cost, no fees at this moment?
You know what? It's actually a little bit lower than what they just said on the CNBC. We can do 6.875, which is 0.25% lower than the last few days. So it's 2.222 is my rebate on a $300,000 loan. That's $6,600 is what the rebate is today. And out of that $6,600, I'll take $3,500 of it, and I'll pay all the closing costs on that. And so basically, it's a $3,000 check to my company, and then it's zero costs to the borrower. That's at a 30-year is 6.875. The 20-year is at 6.75, and then the 15-year is at 6.5%. So the rates have gotten a little better, but GDP is supposed to come out today. I don't know. I have to check what my son told me, but
it's noon today. No, it's supposed to be out today, but it's noon on the East Coast. I don't know how long you're stretching it out. 9 a.m., right? Well, let's just check it.
I'm going to Google that right now.
Yeah.
GDP
Two words, GDP report, and then click news.
For third quarter.
Don't be fooled by a strong GDP report. They're saying that it will likely show that it is going to grow.
Trying to be.
No, it doesn't. There is no report out as of yet. And I wouldn't be surprised if the GDP show growth. We're spending money at an incredible rate.
Well, it's because all the prices have gone up and that people still need to buy product. And, there's industries that are really getting hurt right now. One big mortgage lender, just went out of business yesterday. They're shutting down December 15th, Finance of America. I used to use them a lot. They were actually a pretty decent lender on the wholesale chain, and they got real big on the retail side of things as well. And that's crazy to see them go because they were pretty darn big. So
Yeah.
anyways, it just gets more.
Brendan says the report comes out tomorrow. Your son was off by one day.
Oh, yeah,
There
I
you
was
go.
looking. I knew it was going to be anytime soon, so I'll have to have a conversation with my son, because now I'm reporting stuff that my son tells me.
And
that's
now,
not-
you know what? Fake news. Fake news.
I'll just call him Trump Jr.
Trump Jr., fake news, fake news. All right, let's jump back into it on your next report. And what do we have? Some Black Knight data for you. It's about 5 days old. As you know, I'm not a big fan of whatever it is that they write up. I am only concerned with the actual numbers, usually in their report. And it's this section. Feel like I should turn on my annotator again. I am big with the annotator. I think I used it last night on Fight Net Radio too. All right. So month over total foreclosure starts, this number right here, Fred. They're saying September of 22, right? So they're caught up. They're saying the total foreclosure starts were 18,000. All right. Again, I don't want to sound like a broken record on this topic. Because we talked about this report the other day, right? And so if you're getting 18,000 foreclosure starts, let me pull this up, see if I can get it up. Where did it go? Let me get this report up, which is what we looked at the other day. Where are you? That graph. So just so we can look at this data side by side, they're talking about 18,000. Why can't I find that document, which is hilarious? We just had it up here on the screen. Why can't I see it? It's not there. It's not there. Is it on my desktop? That's funny. It's like it just disappeared, even though I was just looking at it. Okay. Let's check my desktop real quick. It's not on my desktop. Wow. That's simply crazy. And I don't know why it's not there. And it's making me a little mental. Didn't we just talk about this report the other day with the annotator? But side by side, the data. Foreclosure starts approximately being 18,000 as compared to the chart we looked at the other day. They're doing deferrals of approximately 18,000 per month, Fred. It's interesting that we're still having these numbers. By the way, their report wants to let you know that actual foreclosure and foreclosure sales, they're down. I mean, they're down, and it's fantastic because, it's just fantastic that we're not really foreclosing on anybody. I don't like to be a conspiracy theory nut until I look at these reports, but it was just a day or so ago, we were talking about 18,000 people being deferred on a monthly basis, and US monthly foreclosure starts are at 18,000 or so, plus or minus. It's really disheartening to me on some level, Fred, that this is the direction we went.
Well, we talked about it yesterday pretty well. If we have 18,000 foreclosure starts and then 18,000 deferrals, and they're just taking those people that are not paying, they're just taking whatever money that they owe and adding it to the back end of the loan and charging them 0% interest. And when they sell or refinance, they're going to have to pay that money back. Obviously, if those two numbers are the same and it's now 36,000 a month, right? 18
Yeah.
for deferral and 18 for foreclosure starts, that, you know, when you go and knock at the door, we talked about this yesterday, the sales pitch is, hey, we're aware, you know, obviously we're home advocates. We came by to offer some information to you. We understand that you may be behind in your payments. We have some information that can help you. And by the way, we might want to check your credit report to see if they are being reported to your credit report, because then that limits us as to what our options are, depending on how much equity you have in your home. So I'm here to offer some free advice. And if you'd like, we can go in and go check your credit report right now and take a look at it, see what your options are. Kind of jump right into it like that. And that's your 45-second door pitch. And then if you're not able to refinance, or there's not enough equity in the home to be able to do a hard money loan or something like that, which is obviously, or a reverse mortgage, then the other obvious answer is, what are you going to do? Let's call your bank up and let's ask some questions. And then those questions that you have are great. And those start off, let me pull up that list. I don't have them memorized, but when was your last payment? Who's your lender and servicer? Have you been reaching out to contact them? Do you have a specific contact at the bank? Those are questions that you can create conversation. And that's what needs to be discussed when you are contacting these people. And we were talking about yesterday, knowing that half of the people that are delinquent or not paying their mortgages, knowing that they may just be added on to the back end of the loan and they may not have to pay any interest on that money. The question would be, are you currently employed? Is your husband currently employed? If they're not, we need to sit down and look at what your options are even more closely. So you got to find out if those people have jobs, because if you don't have a job, you're sleeping on mom and dad's couch. If you do have a job, then you have choices, and we got to see what those are.
Yeah, I agree. Those are the conversations that we have to have in regards to this type of data. And I'll stress this data again. They are clearly based on the projections. Now I realize that one report is only up till July and they're talking about September. But if you look at the way the numbers are going down, that's what they're doing. That's just what they're doing when they start foreclosure. So if they're doing it on foreclosure start to defer, forbear, short sale, etc., you don't want it to go any greater than notice of default. So it's happening somewhere between notice of default and notice of sale. So there's your, again, we'll go back to what we talked about last week with data and information like that. Antonio Lee, which is better to use, Realty Track or Foreclosure Radar? You're on the West Coast. So my opinion would be Property Radar, Foreclosure Radar. However, I don't think that either of them are don't go greater than notice of default if you're going to use, and it would be Property Radar for California for sure. They have better data. That's just my experience. Now, the data in general is hit or miss at best. I don't know how else to describe it. I've explained how title companies and these companies get their information from public records, which are fed into a system. One goes out to all the title companies, they call it the plant. And the other ones go into feeds like Realty Track and for Property Radar. There are a couple of companies that do it. Is one getting information? The information always seems to be slightly different than the other. Sometimes it's age, it's right. I have never seen data this inconsistent in my life, period. So I wouldn't go anything greater than NOD in any market. And for the people in Chicago and those places, I wouldn't go any greater than less pendants. I wouldn't look at people who have sale dates. I mean, if they're not smart enough to take one of these wacky ass deferrals or, forbearance, like they're handing out things in a cookie jar on some level. I mean, the list of options to keep people out of a bad situation is astounding to me. Fred, like the list of things that they do are amazing. I mean, wow, good for them. I mean, the list is mind blowing. They're doing short sales and deed in lieu. They've got them categorized under the same thing. They're not doing many deed in lieus per month. That's a good thing. I would say short sales are non-existent. Payment deferrals, forbearances are still in the thousands. Repayment packages saw a surge in March and then it went down. I think they moved them all over to deferrals. Looks like they're phasing out repayment plans. And then loan modifications, which peaked in March and April dramatically, and now are still in the tens of thousands at this point. Now those would trend down. So in July, they were doing about 23,000 variations of this. And that report that we just looked at from Black Knight, as of September, we're still doing about 18,000. Isn't that what it said? 18,000? Yeah, 18,000 foreclosure starts. So the question becomes, how did we avoid 3 million people in default, right? There's still 1.5 million missing 30 days or more, Fred. Now there are 500,000 that are 90 days. So they're still showing what do they say? What number of properties 30 days or more past due or in foreclosure? By the way, I don't even know how their math works on this. Now, are the 558 counted against the 1.4? Because all they're saying is 1.6 million people are delinquent, which is down. It would be historically down. Normally at any given time, we're probably closer to about 2 million to 3 million people just in normal delinquency. The only thing that really ever changes historically from a default perspective are the number of people who go beyond 30 days delinquent, right? But 30, 60, 90, you can always see it hover anywhere from about 1.5 million to 3 million, depending on what's going on with the economy. We're in a recession. We have layoffs. We have all kinds of stuff. And we are at one of the lowest delinquency rates that we've ever recorded. Does that make any sense to you at all?
Well, I mean, it's just because of what they're massaging the data, right? We know that. And they're just adding they're not foreclosing, and they're just doing these, adding the money to the back end of the loan so that way they don't foreclose on you. I mean, we did not, we talked about this over a year ago. These are things we talked about, and I told everybody, I'm noticing this, and I said this yesterday as well, I'm noticing this on the refinances, that people's late payments aren't showing up on their credit reports, and the deferred payments are being added to like an account, a deferral account. And so they have two balances, one for the loan balance, and then they have another balance on the mortgage statement for the amount that they're owed in arrears. So when they're not taking that money, which is normally like, you add that to whatever the loan balance is, and then when you go in foreclosure, then they add all the foreclosure fees, and there's an opening bid. at the trustee sale. Well, they're basically avoiding doing the trustee sales and just adding this money to the back end of the loan, and they're not foreclosing. I mean, that's like hocus pocus, that's like Disneyland. Like that's only in Fantasyland does that stuff happen. That's not real life, but that's what they're doing. And we were able to refinance them. So holy
Yeah.
cow. And then they weren't reporting to the credit reports? What? Yeah, they weren't. So that's what's going on.
I'm with you. I'm with you completely. I'm fascinated with it. I'm completely. This is why I don't believe the jobs report. This is why I don't believe. I can only go on by what the advocates in the field are talking to me about when they talk to people on a day-to-day basis. And the points that we brought up are points they're seeing in the market. So when I start pulling stories with numbers, and that's what these all are, they're all basically reports, right? This is a whole other topic that I don't want to get into, but existing home sales are decreased, and this is the 8th straight month, right? Yet I'll open up while I'm going through these, and some economists are predicting that late in 2023, interest rates will be back down around 4 or 5%. What? Like, I don't have any experience of the 2006 to 2007 crash from this side. Does that make sense to everybody? I don't know this side of it, Fred. I wasn't on this side of the fence in 2006. I was on the banking side of it in 2006 and 7, right? And we were projecting long before that point the direction of the market. We were more like Zillow. We looked at it a year in advance. We started to put more cash reserves on hand. We saw the direction it was going. So if you think that Wells, Chase, and B of A, Zillow, or any of these corporate entities have any other feeling other than this market going into the toilet or projecting in that direction, you would be wrong. Nobody's that delusional. Nobody's that delusional. What I'm amazed by being on this side of the fence to keep people in real estate motivated, because it is what's propping up the economy at this moment. The amount of, I'm going to say it, but it's bullshit. Like, how you can spin numbers like these into something positive is shocking to me. It doesn't even, I don't even have to try hard to find some of this stuff, but I mean, it goes back to me finding that one data report of there were like 3 million people that were severely delinquent, including, forbearance agreements, and they're all suddenly gone. Well, that's because we're deferring all their payments. Yeah, that might have made a press release. That should have been a news story, instead of me finding it literally 9 months after the fact of them starting to do this on a random FHFA random graph on our random website. That's what blows my mind about. Can you remember 2006? Was it this wacky? Were people still whistling in the dark to keep their spirits up, Fred?
Well, I just remember my dad was selling some condos in Studio City, and it was he had just converted his apartment building into condos, and he was selling all of them as, well, it was an apartment building he built, and then he turned it into condos, and he sold all of them in 2006 and 7, and he bought a commercial office building on Ventura Boulevard between Sepulveda and Van Nuys, which is a hot little area there. It's probably the most expensive area of the San Fernando Valley for retail. And And my dad was really concerned about getting them all sold really quickly because of what was happening to the market. You could feel it in the market. And my dad doesn't focus on residential. He's a commercial real estate. He owns retail shopping centers and commercial office buildings in and around LA. And you could feel it even if you weren't focused on it. You just knew what was going on in the market because everybody said the wave is coming. The wave
Right.
is coming.
Right,
So-
but that's on the commercial side. They're a little more corporate minded on that side because you are looking at rents and long-term rental situations. And by the way, historically speaking, commercial markets are the sort of harbinger of, there are 2 or 3 solid, good word, T. Miller, harbinger of the market, in my opinion, and they've always been right. One is fraud, and the other is commercial property disaster. Want to see a fun fact, Fred? I'm going to put the screen back up again. Watch what happens when you type in the word foreclosure. It's one of my normal words, but look what the news trends are right now. They're massive. The Paseo in Pasadena. You know the Paseo up in downtown Pasadena? It's being foreclosed upon, Fred. The Paseo, that
Yeah.
brand new Paseo that they built smack dab in the middle of everything.
Thank you, Amazon. You could just thank Amazon for that one.
Well, I don't, everything is about surviving that pandemic. So I'm surprised it took commercial this long to catch up, but I went through all these stories. Even the foreclosure activity increase that's the one we did from a couple of weeks ago. But most everything newsworthy, excluding people who are celebrities, is commercial right now. It's all commercial, Fred. It's all commercial. They're foreclosing on commercial like it's Christmas morning, which is very interesting to me. So home sales have decreased for 8 straight months. How there is anybody... So there are now 2 newsworthy angles that people are talking, I guess, news angles that people are talking about, Fred. So let's talk about those 2. One is sales are down and going to continue to go down and things of that nature. And this is but it's all going to be over in the first quarter of next year. That seems to be the most positive people can do. Oh, it's only going to be bad for a couple of months. And then by the end of the first quarter, everything will be fine. Then there's the everything will be fine by the end of 2023 crowd. And then there's the third group, which I'm probably in the 4th group of the sky is falling, the world is burning, it's all going to hell. And, Putin's probably going to drop a nuclear bomb. That's my opinion. What do I know? The trending numbers are all down. The trending numbers are all going in the wrong direction. I'm 8th straight month of numbers going down. And that's with them adjusting the numbers, which we've talked about a million times, the way that NAR likes to adjust its numbers. So I just, again, I don't know what 2006 was like, Fred, so I don't have anything to compare it to. I can tell you what it was like on the banking side, and we were far more prepared. So there was no shock when Wells Fargo cut off equity lines or doing car loans. There was no surprise when Zillow did what they did. Those look very corporate and very smart to me.
Wasn't it? It was much worse than what we're today. Like the feeling was in the market.
The
And
year,
I'm sure,
so the year before it really was official, right? Like where everybody was willing to admit that everything had exploded.
yeah, because people were losing their jobs, right? People were, during the pandemic, people lost their jobs, and then they had fear during the pandemic for health and for their, income. But before it happened in 2006 and 7, I think everybody would agree that has been around and was in business at that time, that you felt it coming. like you knew it was coming. Now, you didn't know that the pandemic was coming. I mean, you know, it just popped up in the news, and then, 20 million people lost their jobs. But now, in 2006, you knew it, that was the worst one since the Great Depression, and everybody felt it. I mean, not us in the real estate and mortgage industries, but business owners certainly did. It was ugly. It was a bad time.
Yeah, I completely agree. Stephen Robles writes, my
Steve
speculation
Robles
about,
let me tell you, I mean, you know who Steve is, but he just swam from the Channel Islands.
yes, he's been on a
Uh,
couple of times. He's
yeah.
the complete lunatic, and I'll say it as a lunatic to another lunatic. He swam to Catalina. What a lunatic. What
Yeah,
don't they have great white sharks out there? I like what
Yes, he's a really good friend of mine from college, and
he's
he
a
just
lunatic, Fred. You surround
50
yourself with lunatics.
58 years old. He swam 13 miles from the Channel Islands to Oxnard, and I was there. I was there and watched him, and it's crazy what happens to your body after you get out of the water, and your head is in that water for 13 hours. And he said that swim was more difficult than the Catalina swim. Than the Catalina swim.
Then the
because
Catalina
wa-
swim.
The water
Catalina's a
was-
bigger, yeah, it's different, and it's where it's located. It's the windy, yeah, it's a whole thing.
it's just the
Has any
conditions
of
were
this,
tough.
have any of people of advanced age, Stephen and myself, doing crazy things inspired you to want to do anything crazy, Fred? Are you suddenly thinking of, I don't know, cage fight? Or how about in extreme endurance test? What's the one they do where they run across?
I mean,
It just shows you that it's a mindset.
I've jumped off a waterfall 60 feet high in Hawaii by my condo. We go on pretty crazy river rafting trips where you're, underwater in the raft. I've done some pretty crazy rafting, class 5 type rapids, or maybe 4+, but nothing like what Steven's done. But let's get to his question, because
Well, yeah, his question is actually solid. My speculation
Yeah.
about the low foreclosure is that the current administration is telling the banks not to do anything right now. This could be tied into waiting until after the November election. Correct, Steve. We actually talked about this a couple of days ago, which is why you should be on your calls. I agree. Not only do I agree about it, I believe they're waiting till after the election because they have to write a check. Right. And sort of the right has made it very clear that they're not raising the debt ceiling. They don't want to write any more checks. That's their job. Okay. At the end of the day, the left is supposed to spend money. The right is supposed to stop it. All this other stuff, this racial tension and all this other ancillary horse crap is just about getting people elected. But basically, the checks and balance system of this country is as follows. The left side is in charge of social programs and spending money. The right side is the accounting department, and they're supposed to stop it. That's it. Everything beyond that is smoke and mirrors and a dog and pony show and Herschel Walker, for God's sakes. All right. Need I say anything more? So what they're waiting to see is, will the people elect to spend more money in November? That's basically what this election will tell us. If the country chooses to vote in primarily Democratic people, the spending will continue. The government will continue to spend money. They will continue to raise the debt ceiling. They will continue we'll have stagflation 100% at that point. This is going to be a very long, drawn out thing that gets dropped in somebody's lap. Okay. That's all there is to it. When it comes to housing, it's a huge sticking point because I think they want to write a check and bail all these people out, which in this particular case, which we've documented, is Freddie and Fannie, right? They're the ones that are basically servicing these files. And if they can service off and reinstitute a couple million loans, from causing the problem is we're declining in value. Everybody bought houses with the idea of having equity. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of mathematical principles in play here. So each side is playing their own game of what's better for the country. Possibly what's better for the country is a recession, which basically puts inflation back into the box. I mean, that's the best way I can explain it. For those that don't get why this has to happen. Everything is overinflated and it has to be put away because the value of the dollar is decreasing based on the amount of dollars that we printed, basically. And that's why houses are so expensive. The End by Lee Honish. That's not news, that's fact. So if anybody says that I'm putting a spin on facts, that will be a lie. Those are the facts of how this works. This isn't a political statement. It's just what's going to happen. There are two things that will happen after November. If enough Republicans are put into place, the spending will stop and the pain will begin. The recession will happen. Guarantee it. They're not going to write checks. They're not going to be able to bail out these homeowners. Freddie and Fannie are now government controlled, so they're too big to fail. They'll get a check written no matter what when they start to go belly up on all the defaulted loans that they're taking in once their value disappears, right? The only reason they can do what they're doing is because the houses that they're putting into the rears or whatever program they put them into, all these properties have equity. So there's no loss in it. When that number of loss begins to increase, you will watch foreclosures increase. You will across the board, as value decreases, liquidation will increase. You're seeing it on the commercial side. So guarantee it's going to happen on the housing side. How was that for you, Fred? Good explanation?
Yeah, that was good. Well, yep. Antonio, you're right. Lorraine is Steve's mom, and I know she was in real estate for many, many years. So maybe Steve can comment whether his mom worked at Remax, but it sounds like Antonio knows your mom, Steve. So anyways, I met her up in Oxnard. She was a nice lady.
So I'm going to end this real quick on just as a bonus for everybody on the call or anybody watching the video of what can you do with this kind of information, right? Here's how I would do it. Any of these news stories are worthy. Personally, I think the CNBC one is probably the direction I would go and use as my email. Just go into Constant Contact. I would start with an email. I think this is newsworthy. If you wait till Wednesday when we do the market update, you could cherry pick one of the stories that we physically use. Constant Contact is the one that we recommend these days. I used to do MailChimp. I'm only at 59% open on my email rates, Fred. I went down 1%. I'm losing sleep on that. And if you're wondering, well, why not 100%? Then you don't know a lot about email marketing. My open rates are pretty solid. So create an email. I can do email automation. I can do squeeze pages. I can do the whole bit. But if it were me, let's just keep it real simple. I'm going to show you guys a very basic way to do this. All right, I got it all up. So let's take it from the top, right? Let's start from the opening page of, there you go. Welcome back, Frank. So you're looking at my screen. This is my main page on Constant Contact. As you can see, my open rate for the past 30 days is 59%. I've got a little bit of page growth and I lose about 1,000 people a month. Actually, that's very common based on the sheer volume of emails I put out. This is my overall contact list. That also includes the email marketing that I do for people. So in this particular case, we're going to do a campaign, not for me. I'm going to create a campaign from scratch and just show you the simplicity of utilizing this data so that it benefits you. You just click on create. It would be the same on MailChimp if that's what you use, or Mailgun, or any of those. I always use basic note. All of my emails start off, even when they look complex, because I'm sure you all get them. They all start off just like this. There's nothing too crazy. And I'm going to show you exactly, instead of the photo, I'm going to replace that. I'm going to delete it. And I'm going to drag over a video. Okay. And I'm going to edit it. And I'm going to use the CNBC report. And then I'm going to copy the name of this. And then I'm going to insert it. I personally think you should enlarge it to the size of the frame. It should be the headline. Right? They're all too big. What the heck is going on here? Get them all the same color, make them all the same size. Oy. There we go. I think I want them all on the same line just for clean. And I like to highlight it, as you guys have seen from my emails, draws your eye in. There you go. You're thinking, well, perhaps I need some text there. You know what? You probably do need some text there. So let's see what CNBC gave us. Oh, look at all this stuff they gave us. All of this is commercial for them down here. So we don't need, there you go. There's your data. Copy. Go back to constant contact. I'm going to paste it in. Left justify everything. It looks better. Then increase its size. Dot, dot, dot. Hey, saw this. Ay. And thought it would be useful. Oh, he's dot, dot, dot. Make it casual. If you have questions, call me. Right. Always name your emails. I do them by date. This is a test. 102622. I know I'm doing this fast, but I'm just showing you how you can use this data as quick as humanly possible for all of you. And then we need to change your subject line. So I really want, I'm going to give you, I've talked about this before. I'm going to give you my bullet high opening, gets them every time. So for real estate agent, it's listing or listing info, anything related to a listing or forward listing, any of those work if you're working with people in real estate. That'll get you an open rate. For the rest of the known world, when I really want somebody to open, you go with hey, comma. And you don't want to miss this. I don't like as much as got info that I thought was useful. Right. Walker is one of the people I do emails for. Let's see. And there he is. I have Michelle, I have Walker. So we'll do Walker. There's Walker. He's locked and loaded in there. And all the reply address would be from Walker. Save it. Then what we would do here, since I've decided, and I can do this for any of my clients, right? Then I don't add phone numbers here or any of that. Although if I were really sending this out, I would have all his information at the bottom. I don't take chances when I'm doing marketing for real estate agents. And then this button would become a call me. Click here, call me. Always tell them what to do for some reason. And I have the ability to add a phone number. There you go. Just like that. Then insert it. Then you continue, click the link, send it away. That's it. That's how you get high open rates. There's your, this is something you should be doing once a week. There shouldn't be any question about this. Anything you want to add about this, Fred?
No, I don't, but I have something that I'm putting into the chat box right now. And it's really good.
Okay,
It's
cool.
for the best subject lines. And I got
Oh,
it.
cool.
Yeah, there's 34 of them here. And I don't know if people can copy and paste them or not. But
Certain, yeah, they actually, I think you can. You can. You can copy, cut, and paste those. So if you're here live on the call, I would recommend going through those. We'll talk about them right now. For those of you, let me turn my video back on. That's on me. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us this Wednesday. I hope this information was useful. Do your own research. I didn't even go through half the stories. It's in Yahoo. It's in Reuters. We're talking about recession. It's where you fall on it. The reality is, stick to the numbers that are actual, use them in your marketing. It'll give you position. Feel free to use my tips on how to send out email marketing. And if you're interested in finding out more about home advocates, just Google home advocates.